Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Lords of Limited. My name is Ben Warney, and joining me on the line, as always, Mr. Ethan. Day 2 of the Arena Championships qualifier. Sax. How does it feel? You 7-1.
I did 7-1. You added it was one more qualifier than necessary because
But you're
we
the
did the play.
qualifier. The event is called the qualifier, but you're the qualifier of the
For
qualifier
the
for day 2.
Okay,
I put the proper number of qualifiers in there.
You did great. I don't really even understand what I'm doing in this tournament, so I appreciate the context. Yes, it is Sunday morning, so we don't know what's going to happen on day 2, but I did get through day 1 of the Arena Championships qualifier yesterday, which was exciting. It was good because I had I don't know, watching Worlds and is always sort of or watching Worlds or Pro Tour always kind of fires me up a little bit where I'm just like, I could do that,
Sure,
certainly
yeah.
with the draft portion anyway. And sealed is always a little crapshooty, so I never put too much stock in it, but it was nice to just get to play some high stakes Magic and do well, especially because I had another week of lose, win. So it was a roller coaster week for me in the format, but it was nice. And for anyone who wants to watch it'll be about 4 hours of gameplay. Will be up on our YouTube channel this week.
Whoa.
So for the sickos out there, and whatever we get to mine for day 2 as well. But for the sickos out there, if you want to watch some sealed content in a high stakes environment, that will be there for you. And I kudos to myself, except for one misplay, one pretty not to throw you under the bus, but a classic Ben Werney don't lead to the bottom of a rare misplay.
I'm here for it.
Did you know that Fire Nation Drill has some text on the card? It has an activated ability.
It has an activated ability where you can make your opponent's permanents lose hexproof and indestructible.
Sure. So that would, if you wanted to cast Octopus Form.
Yeah, it would negate Octopus Form.
Yes, it would negate Octopus Form.
That would be less than ideal.
It was not ideal.
Yeah,
I mean, the good news is that that wasn't ever getting better. That was ever not going to happen. Either Octopus Form was going to be dead in my hand, against Fire Nation Drill, or I was going to get got. So I learned a valuable lesson. But yeah, otherwise, I got some other story times for that qualifier that I guess we could just dive into now. I sent you my pool, and you said you thought it was a banger.
Your pool was a banger. Absolutely. I assume that Swamp Snare Trap carried you to victory in your blue-black control deck that you cited into.
Okay. So I know, I know what you're doing here, and I want to let you have this W, but that list is not the blue-black list that I ended up running. So I didn't when I said I sided in Swamp Snare once, that's what I actually meant.
Oh, it was true?
In my head, so I built 3 decks in my pool. I had this 4-color good stuff deck that was base blue, green, splashing red, and black. I had a red. Then I was like, okay, I want to build whatever my most aggro deck is, which was tough. My curve, it's just tough to get a good curve for an aggro deck. So I built a Boros deck as my aggro deck, which I only sided into once on the play. And then I was like, okay, I'm also going to build this blue-black deck that has a bunch of removal, and that'll be the deck that I side into when I'm on the draw against aggro decks. And I was expecting most sealed decks to look like what that 4-color good stuff deck was going to look like.
Right.
But I faced an inordinate amount of play to the board creature mid-range decks. And so by round 4, after siding into Dimir, mono removal, and card draw every time, I was like, I think I should just be playing this. And it was also awkward because...
But you can never change that once the event started, right? You are always locked into your... You can. So did you do that?
I did do that. Yeah. Once, I think starting in round 5, I think is when I started Dimir, because one of the other...
And did you ever go back to the 4-color deck after that?
I did not. No.
Wow.
I think the best card in my pool is Rise of Sozin. That's the black mythic saga that's
correct.
Wrath and then flips into a nutso creature. And so one of the awkward things about the 4-color good stuff deck was that that's my best card, but sort of to get to it, I need to play Hermetic Herbalists to the board before casting it. So there was this, I was getting myself in, one time there was awkward spots where I couldn't cast Rise of Sozin. That felt bad. And there were also awkward times where I'm like, I don't really want to play this Wrath right now. But the only other way for me to keep doing stuff is to play to the board with my like mana dorks. So after like some awkwardness there, I was like, I think I'm just gonna side into this Dimir deck. And that's where I lived for the rest of the tournament.
This feels like a veiled message to me. I'm also looking at Iro Grand Lotus here. This feels like a veiled message that I was in fact wrong about wanting to play 4-color Iro Grand Lotus plus double pip
Oh.
black cards from Derek Davis's draft last week in the show.
I mean, you're not. It's perhaps quite apt to have that pool this week around. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what was right, but it definitely felt like, certainly based on the matchups I was having, that blue black was where I wanted to be. And I'll tell you, like, when I didn't see islands on the other side of the battlefield, I was just like,
Felt great.
I don't think I can lose. Like, I'm casting like double waterbending lessons and like just looting my way through to the best cards on my deck. And when my opponents didn't have, like, when I knew that I could slam Rise of Sozin without them having It'll Quench Ya, or, you know, knew that if we were going to get into some sort of long game, I was going to win because I just had so much card advantage. Felt really good.
Yeah, I think looking at the two decks, I would have initially built the 4-color version. But what you're explaining about the having to play to the board before Rise of Sozin checks out with me a lot. That wasn't something I'd clocked just looking at the deck. I just counted sources for Rise of Sozin, which I'm sure is what you did also, without really thinking about the consequences of counting the number of sources for Rise of Sozin.
Correct.
But the blue-black deck looks tight also. How did you have playables in white-red? I cannot get to 23.
It's not great. I mean, I can share it with you, but it's not great. I only had, I think, 5 creatures before turn 3.
So and you felt like you were that outclassed in the matchup? Did you win that game?
It was a grindy enough mirror. I did win the game where I sided in. It was a grindy mirror. It was match 1, actually. I lost game 1, and I was like, I think I want to do this. But I was also sort of like, that's what I was making the video. I was like, people are here for the deck swaps. That's what I do. So I'm going to do the deck swap. And I swapped into Boros and did win. But I think my opponent's draw was just so much worse than what they showed in game 1 that, like, I think any functional deck doing stuff on the play against them would have won. And then swapped out of that for game 3 when I knew I was going to be on the draw. So wait, cool. I have just two story times. I guess maybe now just one story time, which is, so I faced Wan Shi Tong Librarian.
Yeah.
In a very long game that I was like, well, and one of the things about having Rise of Sozin in best of 3 is it's just cracked, because chapter 2 is really effective.
Oh, wow.
Like, I got to take, like, there were games where I just got to be like, oh, I saw you had Iro Grand Lotus in game 1, and that was like your finisher. Yoink. Or, yeah. Oh, I saw 2 copies of Sold Out. Yoink, now your removal's gone. Like, it's brutal in best of 3. But so I, like, sort of knew my opponent's deck. Like, I knew what they had going on. And I was like, I think we're going to win this decking war. So I was very conscious of library size. And they had a giant koi that they were clocking me with. That at first blush, I was like, this is going to be 1 turn too slow. But then they used an Azula Always Lies to get a counter on it.
Oh,
so now the clock was sped up. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna lose. And I thought I had a Boomerang Basics in my deck to bounce it, but I didn't. So I was like sort of playing for that as an out. And they had a Wan Shi Tong in play, the big mythic flyer. But I had the 2/3 Death Touch reach creature on my side, the green 2/3 Death Touch wall top sentries. And so that was holding off the big flyer. That's why I wasn't dying to that. But I was dying to the unblockable fish. And so then I was like, I feel like I've got Boomerang Basics, then whatever. And then I drew Aang's Journey as my second to last card. And I cast it because I was like, maybe I can, if I gain enough life this turn, I can so whatever. And saw that Firebending Lesson was the last card in my deck. Okay, fine. Failed to find with Aang's Journey. Gain 2 life. What's this Wan Shi Tong trigger going on the stack? Do you know the text on Wan Shi Tong, which says whenever your opponent searches their library, you put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card. So it forced them to draw. So then I did win the decking war before the giant koi killed me.
Oh,
I didn't
wow.
know that when I cast Aang's
The
Journey. I
X
wasn't
Journey
like,
pro plays.
okay. When the trigger went on the stack, I was like, what's happening here? What's all this then?
Well, and like in paper, your opponent, what? They theoretically they could just ignore
They could
that, even
miss
though that would be, yeah,
for
just miss
sure.
the
I mean,
trigger.
that's
That would be
theoretically
grifter,
cheating.
right? In the genius or
Yes,
grifter segment.
big time grifter for
But that
sure.
would be like an easy, honest mistake to make. As the opponent, I would never realize that. I don't think.
Nope, not me either. I've never seen that come up before. So two
Wow.
rares that I read to the bottom, and I think that's a note for myself probably for today is just read every card. Just make sure you know
What
like
every card does.
whatever every rare or mythic. Let's say I probably know everything else, but let's just make sure I know what all the rares or mythics are doing before making some plays.
That's my biggest. I mean, I'm sure that is for everybody too, but almost every time I've made a mistake in a spot where it's mattered, like where I've cared about the outcome of the match, not just like streaming whatever mindlessly when I'm tired at the end of a school day, it's
Mm-hmm.
been because I've assumed that something is true that isn't true. Like that's
Uh,
where 90% of the gameplay mistakes I make come from.
yeah, it's hard because Magic is such a mentally taxing game that like you're just so hungry for shortcuts and heuristics, right? You're just so like, how can I just go into autopilot on these things? So when there's stuff that really I need to focus on, I can. And so it's hard to be like, okay, I'm going to reread every card just to make
You just
sure. Like,
can't. That yeah,
I can't do
it's
that.
not possible.
I think rares and mythics I probably should try. Okay, let's do a little housekeeping. Chat about the Patreon page, patreon.com/Lords of Limited. It's where folks can go to give back to the show if they so choose. The show will always be free. We have a lot of great perks over at the Patreon page that we want to shout out. First thing is our Discord, which is like I was shouting out last week. It's great for these high stakes events this week. It was really fun to like see other people qualify in our Discord. I know Sam's getting there, some other folks. So that's really awesome. It was just great to also see other people's sealed pools and people giving feedback and even on the qualifiers for the qualifiers leading up to it. So if you want that kind of a hive mind mentality, the Lords of Limited Discord is for you. And we also have access to our podcast feed, which gives you this episode a day early ad free and also our bonus weekly episode of Lords Unlimited. You know what we have to do on Lords Unlimited? Maybe
What's that?
today. We got to
Okay.
check back in on the cube. With the cube has laid dormant. I know you're a busy boy. I'm not asking you to do homework on the cube. I'm just asking for it to spark joy for you again, and we
I
could
have thought
maybe
about it in the last
yeah.
week. Like I have been binging backlogs of Lucky Paper Radio episodes.
Oh, nice. Okay, great. So maybe we'll chat. Maybe just even chatting about like what cards from Edge of Eternities, what cards from Avatar might we want to get in there. So I think the cube will be some good fodder for Lords Unlimited, but also lots of things. And anything is on the table on Lords Unlimited. And we want to shout out our new patrons the first week that they joined. So this week we are welcoming Arison, Peter, Dexter, Brian, Shiny, Kai, and Mason. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We really appreciate your support.
Yeah, cannot say thank you enough.
You want to draft log with me?
I would love to draft log with you.
We still don't have full pack data for pack one, pick one via 17 lands, but that's okay because I don't think we're going to have any Cave of Two Lovers worries here that I maybe took the wrong card here. We got a banger of a mythic, the Legend of Karuk, 2 blue for a mythic saga, chapters 1 and 2, scry 2, then draw a card, and then it flips in chapter 3 to a 4/3 that has whenever you cast a spell, make a 1/1 spirit token, and you exhaust it by waterbending 20 to take an extra turn after this one. Have you ever time walked with the Avatar Karuk?
I was close this week. I have not. Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, I suppose, but I was close.
I also know that phrase. I think I always think of it as almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, but I feel like no one else says that phrase. And if I ever
Sometimes
say
I
that,
say it and I also get really weird looks. Yeah.
well, just another brother from another mother moment here. Now, do you say you almost got there because like then the game ended or your opponent conceded or
No, I like the game was tight and it would have been very helpful to time walk, but the game
Mhm.
came to a natural conclusion. I won, but nobody conceded.
Nice. So we got Legend of Karuk here. And then moving on to pack one, pick two. I think the pick quickly narrows down to not one, but a choice between two rare lands that get passed to you. One is Secret Tunnel, the cave that can't be blocked, taps for colorless, and you can pay 4 tap to have 2 target creatures you control that share a creature type, can't be blocked this turn. Our friend Stunlock sent me a screenshot with a great deck with this card in it, and he was like, "Man, Secret Tunnel is messed up." And I was like, "Yeah, it's messed up. Like both parts of it are messed up. Like it's messed up with earthbending, but it's also messed up because everything is an ally."
Yeah. And the other land is?
The other land is Abandoned Air Temple, which is the enters tapped unless you control a basic land, taps for white, and you pay 3 and a white tap to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
I think I like Secret Tunnel more than Abandoned Air Temple. Can I sell you on that? I see that you selected Abandoned Air Temple.
I did select Abandoned Air Temple. I don't think you can sell me on that, but but try. Go ahead.
Yeah, here's my pitch. You're using Abandoned Air Temple like over multiple turns to grow your team to try to get attacks to win the game. And I think Secret Tunnel just does it better, faster, in more different ways. Like if you're trying to close out the game, Secret Tunnel lets you over 1 or 2 turns probably just kill your opponent with 2 activations, whereas the Abandoned Air Temple I think takes longer. And I think both, like if you're playing Abandoned Air Temple, you're playing white, but Secret Tunnel is also very good in white, but good in a variety of other decks as well. And I think Secret Air Temple is going to close the game out quicker in white than Abandoned Air Temple is, while also getting the benefit you talked about of if you move into green, etc., of being an excellent land that you earthbend on.
So you're telling me pack one, pick one. You think you would just take Secret Tunnel over Abandoned Air Temple? I mean, that is what you're telling me because this is effectively a pack one, pick one.
This is effectively a pack one, pick one. I love Mizen games in this format. That is my favorite aspect of this format. It's like the otter penguin, the giant koi, the secret tunnel of it all, lightning striking out. Like I've had more insane finishes for me and the opponent in this format than quite a format of that I can recall, I think.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I said you couldn't sell me on it, and I think you almost can. I think I can get behind it. They're very close in my mind.
Very close, yeah.
And very good. But yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so I did take the Abandoned Air Temple. All right, moving on to pack one, pick three. Pretty good pack. There's a Messenger Hawk, the 2 and Demir 1/2 flyer that makes a clue. There's Lost Days, 4 and a blue, tuck or bottom a creature enchantment and make a clue. North Pole Patrol, 2 and a blue, 2/3, untap. You can tap it to untap another target permanent you control, or Waterbend 3 tap to tap target creature an opponent controls. And a Glider Staff, 2 and a white for the equipment. When this equipment enters, airbend up to 1 target creature. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has flying, and it has an equip cost of 2.
Okay. This is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to see that you didn't select Lost Days so that I can't accuse you of being a data truther.
That's my
So
goal in life always.
it's basically between North Pole Patrol, and Messenger Hawk. I think you could hand me either card. I don't have strong feelings. I think I would take North Pole Patrol. I do like that card quite a bit. And I'm not the biggest Messenger Hawk fan. I mean, I think it's a great card and a good card, whatever. Sometimes the 1/2 body is a big problem for Messenger Hawk.
I think you're also a lot less tempted. I did this draft on stream, and a lot of people in chat wanted me to take Glider Staff. And I think Glider Staff, once you have Abandoned Air Temple, Glider Staff, I think, becomes more in the conversation with you having
That's not even in remotely in consideration for me.
That was my feeling as well for a couple reasons. One, I'm just not like, I don't think Glider Staff is like the be all end all. And I think it's comparable to those 3 blue cards in my mind, and maybe it shouldn't be, but
It's
I
better
think
than the 3 blue cards, but not that much better.
right. So I just feel like they're all kind of in the same whatever, like C plus, B minus E landscape. That it didn't feel, and so that I didn't feel like, well, then I should just take a blue card because I'm so incentivized to want to be blue in this draft because of the saga.
Yeah, I would never take Glider Staff here. But that's wild to me that people wanted you to take it. But also, this prompted a thought for me looking at this pick and seeing the Abandoned Air Temple and thinking that it could be Secret Tunnel. And maybe this is a better thought for Lords Unlimited. So if it is, we can discuss it there and you can move us along. But I was watching an LSV Cube draft the other day, and I don't remember what the pack one pick one was. Oh, it was something like a fetch land versus time twister or something like that. I think that might have been the exact pick. And he was talking about, well, I'd rather have time twister because I'd rather start my draft with a direction. And I was thinking, man, that feels so counterintuitive to me. I would rather start with a fetch land because I would rather keep my options open and leave myself power in the draft. And then I was thinking, well, is that true for Cube? Like having a direction is really nice in Cube because the decks are so focused and knowing where you're supposed to steer towards is good. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking, wow, have play boosters changed Magic enough that you want to start your Magic, like your just retail limited draft with a direction versus staying open? Like where, like it just blew my brain, and I was like reeling after him making that comment.
One of the I think it's a really interesting question, and I wonder if it is format to format specific. Like if some sets you'll be like, yeah, you really want a direction. And maybe that's part of the, we had a lot of discussion in the Discord about Prince or Pauper. Like, is this a print? If this is a Prince format or a Pauper format, and a Prince format being a format dictated by rares and mythics, and a Pauper format being a format dictated by commons. And we don't really talk about that as a way to contextualize sets anymore because it's not particularly fruitful in my mind. But
And
I
because you
also
don't want to explain Prince and Pauper every time. Every time we say it, we get questions in the Discord. I think that's
yes,
more the reason we don't talk about it in that context anymore.
there's a multitude, a myriad of reasons. But so I wonder if this is this a format where you want to start with a clear direction, or is this a format where you want a direction handed to you? And I'm kind of split, honestly, because I think this is a format where signals are pretty darn clear a large amount of the time. And I would rather, I think, ultimately read the tea leaves and figure out what I'm supposed to do than feel a tension between starting with a card like Legend of Karuk. Now, I'm not looking a gift Mythic Saga in the mouth here, but I am saying that, like, if I were to take this card and blue were to be cut, I don't love that tension in a draft,
I agree, but you would rather start with at least me in this format.
You,
I much prefer the drafts where I start with a good card. I feel like
for
it's so
sure.
much easier for me to navigate through the drafts because part of the problem with this format is sometimes if you get a few rough packs in a row in pack one, like if your opening pack is weak and the next couple packs are weak, which is definitely a thing that can happen because there are a lot of packs that are just total garbage.
Mhm.
Some is really hard to find a direction in pack one, and you're just kind of guessing, which is not a
Well,
great feeling.
I guess it's like, so I'm trying to think of like what would be a retail limited comp to the fetch land versus polluted delta. And like the fetch land is the golden egg plus of cube. So it's a golden egg, it's a skittering surveyor, it's something that's going to open up opportunities for you down the road. And time twister isn't like a bomb. It's more like maybe it's like a tolls of war kind of card where it's like this card will buoy up some amount of cards if you see them, but it may not necessarily end up being broken in your deck.
Maybe it's a nod to like the synergy level of a
Mm-hmm.
format because Cube is so synergistic. But even then, the flexibility that fetch land provides, I was just it was blew my mind that he said that.
Yeah. So I did land on North Pole Patrol. We'll talk more about North Pole Patrol in a little bit in the episode, but we'll put that in our pile and move on to pack one, pick four, where we see a pretty weak pack. There's an Aang's Journey, the 2 mana lesson that lets you search up a basic land, or a shrine as well if you're being a total lunatic. More on that later. There's First Time Flyer, the 1 in a blue 1/2 gets +1 as long as there's a lesson card in your graveyard. There's Razor Rings, 1 in a white instant, deal 4 to target attacking or blocking creature. You gain life equal to the excess damage dealt this way. There's Master Paku, 1 in a blue 1/3 prowess. When it becomes tapped, you mill a player equal to the number of lessons in your yard. What do you like or dislike the least in
What
this
do you
pack?
dislike the least is more the question. That's what I was getting ready to say. Yeah, I don't like first time flyer at all, which is what I see you selected. I really don't like taking that card without a bevy of lessons already.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I would land on Razor Rings, probably. I don't care. Razor Rings, Rocky Rebuke. I think I would spec into a different color here and put no weight on the card.
Did you clock a card in our second pack.
Did I clock? There was another first time fly. Oh, Air Nomad Legacy?
Yeah,
You think that's going to wheel and you're specking on it?
that's what I was thinking. I mean, just
Okay.
mostly as like I was like, this pick doesn't matter. I want to get deeper into blue. Like that's why I didn't like taking Razor Rings. Razor Rings has fallen pretty far out of favor for me. Like
I agree. Don't like it.
not that I think it's unplayable or anything, but I'm not trying to get in. Like it's awkward for me to take Razor Rings here because then I have 2 blue cards and 2 white cards, and I'm kind of signing up to be blue white for very little reason. So I just was like, I'm just gonna get deeper into blue, and felt like the highest ceiling for me was first time flyer. Like I'm gonna want lessons in blue, obviously. So I agree with you without taking it before you have a bevy of lessons. But the other option is like Iguana Parrot. That's the 3 mana 2/2 flying Vigi prowess, and I just wanted to take a 2-drop over a 3-drop. But I guess like dialing in on this pick is not super necessary.
So does this mean where we've hit the point in the format 2 weeks later where you're with me on Path to Redemption being great?
Oh yeah, for sure, like 100%. And I would just like to say, know thyself, that I knew exactly what was going to happen, and it happened to a point. Yeah, to the exact date that I am 100% with you. Path is great. Path is great.
Yeah.
And what else is great is that I get a pretty clear signal. Pack 1, pick 5.
Ooh, yeah. Pack 1, pick 5. There's a Dragonfly Swarm and nothing in the pack.
Yeah. I mean, there's a blue-white dual land. There's an abandoned attachments, but far and away the best card is Dragonfly Swarm, and I take that and off to the races with a pretty sweet. I was like blue-red, excellent fixing to splash Air Nomad Legacy because I had 5 first-time flyers in my deck.
Did you wheel it out of pack 1?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, nice. And that wasn't enough to turn you. How did you not end up blue-white after that? Oh, because you opened Ran and Shaw.
Because I opened Ran and Shaw.
All right. Because you've been playing with a lot of Ran and Shaws lately then, because I saw a different 7-0 Is It Lessons in Limited deck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that Lessons deck was wild because I was playing so many unplayable lessons, but I had 3 copies of Abandoned Attachments and Union Archers, so my whole plan was just like, I was like, no, I'm not binning lands with Abandoned Attachments. I am binning my stupid blow up an artifact or a land, draw a card lesson that I got last pick, just so I could, turn on my Dragonfly Swarms or my Ran and Shaws.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are a time of traditions. Some people have many in their family, and some have none or are just beginning their own. Now's the time to reflect on what they mean to you or to rewrite traditions and make your own.
Some of my favorite memories from Christmas as a kid were of these little scavenger hunts that my parents would put together for me and my brothers. Like, if there was a gift that was meant for all 3 of us, it would be the last gift of the morning, and there would be like clues hidden around the house that led to each other and then ultimately the gift. My distinct memory of this was a VHS copy of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. So very fond. It was creative. It was fun. And I am going to try that out with Jonah for the first time this year, even though he can't read yet. So we'll have to read the clues to him. But so maybe a new tradition is brewing in the Sachs household.
Nice. Figuring out how therapy can be incorporated into your traditions can ensure you take time for yourself during what can be a very joyful but sometimes hectic and lonely time of the year. So close the year with clarity, not chaos, and give BetterHelp a try. It's one of the world's largest online therapy platforms, having served over 5 million people globally.
This December, start a new tradition by taking care of you. Our listeners get 10% off at betterhelp.com/lords.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lords. And now, back to the show.
Okay. I have a mulligan question for you.
Okay.
For so long, the mulligan heuristics have been like, if you have, let's say you have a 1-lander on the draw.
Yeah.
But you've got, 2 drops. Like
yeah.
your hand will be pretty functional if you draw your second land.
Yeah.
That you're supposed to keep. And you're just signing up for that 70% of the time you're going to get that land and 30% you're not. And that's a bummer. And that 30% you're just going to lose probably. Is that heuristic outdated? Because I was streaming, I had that come up, I kept a hand like that. Someone in chat was like, whoa, or whatever. I was like, you got to keep hands like that. And someone was like, is that true because of like how bad stumbling is? And I then was hearing your voice in my head talking about how like you can get 2 for 1 a lot in this format and still win, but you can't miss land drops in this format and win. That has been my
I,
experience. It's like if you stumble on 2, if you stumble on 3, you're basically cooked. And I am wondering if this mulligan heuristic is outdated.
that checks out to me certainly in this format. I think it's format to format dependent a little
Okay.
bit. Like, but this format certainly with the power level of the 4s, 5s, 6s that you can get into what your opponent can be casting when you're behind. Yeah, I I I hate missing land drops in this format.
Hate it. Wait,
Yeah,
hate missing land drops. Hate missing colors too. Like I've had hands where I've been like, whatever, 3 islands, 2 blue cards, 2 red cards.
yeah.
And I'm like, normally I'd be like, I just keep because
That I still keep in this format. You gotta keep that.
I don't know, man. I think it depends like what, if one of those red cards is a 2 drop and it basically means like unless you draw your mountain immediately,
And then it's
that
gonna be
two
a
drop
dead
is
card. Yeah, yeah,
irrelevant.
yeah,
Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
I
That
think it's a bit more contextual, but I am so knee jerk to be like never mulligan, never mulligan, or like look for reasons to keep hands, not looking for reasons to mulligan hands. But I'm starting to think that like there may need to be an update to that. And maybe you're right that it's format specific and that this is perhaps more a unique format. But I think back to Phyrexia LB1, we were very much like you just can't keep like you just got to start mulliganing hands that don't have 2 drops, even if it's like 3 lands, both colors, and 3, 4, 5. It's like no, you need a 2 drop if you're gonna like have a good fight for the game. And I wonder if there's more of that to be thinking about format to format these days.
yeah, I think that that's a good point, and I think there probably is more of that to be thinking about format to format.
I also wanted to talk about your discussion of the like starting with power versus starting with flexibility. I feel like this format is so tricky for me in that I want to replicate experiences.
Drafts, yeah.
Yeah, like I'll have a really sweet draft and I'll want to do that again. Or like, for example, I feel like I've been playing a lot of black cards over the past couple weeks, and some drafts, whatever. If you start with a great black card, awesome, and then black is open, that's ideal. There are times where like nothing's really open, and then you see, okay, there's a deadly precision or whatever, and I'll start to get into black. And I've had drafts where I do that, and then because I've positioned myself as the black drafter, black rares get opened and they get passed to me, and doesn't that feel great? But then there are times where I'm like, and I position myself as the black drafter, and that
And
doesn't
black rares
happen.
don't get opened, yeah, and then it feels horrible.
Or it's like same, like I think it's mostly like positioning yourself to do something. Like I've done it with like multicolor soup as well, where I position myself for some things and then the rares get passed or the bombs get passed and it's like, oh sick, we're off to the races. But then there's times where it's like I've positioned myself for that and I get nothing.
That's yeah, I don't think that's a good strategy at all in this format. Like that's why I was so off starting green without
Mm-hmm.
great cards because green's so dependent on what you see. Like my strategy for drafting the format is if I start with power, great, I'll follow it. If I'm getting weak packs in the first couple picks and I'm having to forge my own lane, it's always into the Jeskai space, no matter what.
What? Okay, all right. So maybe I mean, I think I'm probably just a little too or a lot too willing to go into green or black. Like I feel like if I'm like if there's not much going on and I see like a hermetic herbalist, the blue green 2 drop, like pick 5 or pick 6, I'm like, that's like signally enough. And that can start me down like if I get into a good blue green multicolor good stuff deck. But what happens if the good stuff doesn't come?
Yeah, that never happens to me. Like I did that like the scenario you're describing there, like I would have no eyes for that
Okay.
hermetic herbalist.
Okay.
But
Okay. Good.
I mean,
Good
that's
talk.
interesting to talk through like different approaches to the format. I've had the experience too many times of what you're talking about, positioning yourself for something and then it not coming and you have
Mm-hmm.
nothing. And you are not as good as you could be at pressuring. Like just guy can get there at common pretty consistently. You can
Yeah.
put together a Jeskai deck that can get to 4 wins, 5 wins, 6 wins, sometimes with good gameplay, 7. The Jeskai decks can hang at common and uncommon.
I agree. I agree with that, and I don't think the black and green decks can either. I put together a little rundown, mostly just talk about some cards here in the scope of the format, because I do think there's a lot of mana fixing and it's not all created equal. And with the upcoming holiday, I decided to put together instead of the 12 days of Christmas, I put together the 12 ways of Fixmas. What do you think about that?
Ooh, I love it. It's classic Ethan titling.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so number one is the land cyclers, which are, I don't really think, I mean, as you'll see, some of the stuff on this list, I'm like, yay. And some of it I think is a nay. And this is mostly a nay for me. I guess I'm curious where you're at on the land cyclers these days.
Well, first of all, I'm disappointed that land cyclers aren't number 5 because they're the perfect number of syllables for land cyclers. It's really, it's a miss on your part.
And
If we're going with the
there's
12 days of Fixmas.
and there's 5 of them. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
okay. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Not great for flavor.
Slap on the wrist for me, but more to the point, I talked about getting clocked by giant koi. Where are you at with these?
I am obsessed with giant koi. And obsessed. I have an illness for giant koi.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not healthy. But I don't often play it as in the land slot. I'm frequently running 17 lands, but I just love having at least one giant koi in my deck.
Yeah, I mean, giant koi it's a finisher.
The others, no eyes for most of them. I think the next one I am most interested in is black.
Yeah, canyon
crawler. I think the power rankings go like blue, black, green, red, white for me.
Sure, it's blue, black, green, nothing. Like the red and the white one are truly nothing. But I think more to the point is that if you want the cards, fine. Like I've liked canyon crawler in black white decks because it makes a food and then you have something to sacrifice. But I do not think these are good for fixing. And they're double pipped themselves. So if you're using them to splash, you're unlikely to be able to cast them. I think they're out in terms of fixing. I also think Cycle of Renewal, I'm still out on. This is the 2 and a green lesson. Sack a land, go find 2 lands. Even the sort of, cutesy stuff you can do with, if you sack an Earthbent land, then you're just double ramping yourself, which is pretty sweet. This does help double fix, which is not nothing. But I largely do not want to put this card in my deck.
I'll stick up for Cycle of Renewal. I like Cycle Renewal in Teamer Lessons decks specifically, especially if you got some earthbending going on.
Well, you need blue card draw to make up for a card like this, I think.
Sure, but you'll have waterbending lessons.
That's what I'm saying. So because you said I like it in Teamer, but like that's one spot where I could see it being built up from waterbending lesson. Okay, we gotta talk about shrines still. It's just a mystery to me because there's like streamers forcing shrines. I got added on Blue Sky this week because someone was like, hey, I'm trying to force shrines to Mythic. We were just in a draft together. Did you take my red shrine from me? And I was like, yeah, guilty.
Yeah, I did.
I did spec on it because like,
wow, called out.
I felt bad. They were like, still trophied anyway. But I was like, okay, sick brags. I did not. But I find like when my drafts are, I guess you're just not tempted by any forbidden fruit. You're just like, if my drafts aren't going great, I just go for Jeskai. For me, I'm like,
that's not true.
My drafts
week one,
okay.
I did, and I lost. I'm not kidding you. I lost like 10,000 gems first week of this format, largely due to like tilting off a couple times, 2 or 3 times with shrines, where I was like, this draft's going terribly. I'm going to draft shrines and 0-3'd promptly or 1-3'd promptly every time. And 0-3ing and 1-3ing is a quick way to lose a bunch of gems in best of 1.
Oh, agreed.
Which I am generally not about. So after week 1, I swore off of shrines for myself, unless it hit me in the face.
The problem with it is, I'm talking about Kyosha Island Plaza, which is the green shrine that searches up lands. The problem with shrines is that everything has to go right.
Yes, and once you take one, you're like, okay, well, like even when it's not going right, you're kind of like tempted to still do it anyway because you spent the 1 pick on the shrine, and then you see another shrine, and then you still might not see enough shrines.
Well, let's say you grab the red shrine, like where I did, which was like pick 6, looking for a direction. And with, I'm clocking them in the draft. And so with the idea of like, if this other one wheels, and it didn't because there was another person at my table who was forcing shrines to mythic, but if it had wheeled, then you're like, okay, and I scoop this up. But then what happens when you open a shrine or see it pick two? Like, once it becomes your plan, part of the temptation of the plan is that you can get it on the wheel. But then if you try and wheel it and you don't, your deck is not functional.
Yeah.
So much has to go right. And you're also at the whim of them just being opened. Like sometimes you're like, shrines is open. It's like, yeah, but it was red shrine, black shrine at the table. And that was it. So what are you going to do?
I think the red shrine is key from playing against it in my experience. Like that is the most important one of the shrine strategy.
I agree with that. And weirdly, I feel like maybe the white or the green one is the least important. It's so awkward.
The green is the least important for sure.
I really feel like they missed out by not having, like, how could you not? You can't curve them into each other. How is there not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? You know?
It might be too broken.
For you to have Natty Wooberg and curve out, like, it's too broken, I guess. I don't know. So I'm out on Kyoshi Island Plaza. I am in on Shared Roots, the one in a green lesson that searches up a basic.
Whoa, really? Yeah. You like Shared Roots and you don't like Cycle of Renewal. Cycle of Renewal is so much better than Shared Roots.
I don't agree. I think ramping from 2 to 4 is phenomenal. And I think taking 3, I think that I can sign up for. I think taking like turn 3 off is really bad.
Can I dig into your brain a little bit more here?
Get on in there.
Get on in there. So I don't know the name of this card, but the one in a green common 2/1 that taps for green or taps for double green.
Audience.
There we go. Raucous Audience.
Uh-huh.
Do you like Shared Roots or Raucous Audience more?
They're very similar in my mind. But I think if I had my druthers, I probably like Shared Roots more because it's not killable. It can fix. It's a lesson in the graveyard. So I think if you have to make me choose, I would choose Shared Roots.
And you're primarily viewing Shared Roots as a ramp card, not a fixing card.
I can do both. But I've played Shared Roots. I think
Cycle of Renewal is so much better at fixing because it can fix for the double splash cards.
Yeah, I just feel like my hope when I'm like double splashing, and I think these decks are real, and I've had a lot of experience with them. I've had a lot of experience like setting myself up for them and them falling apart because I don't see the power. But when you're talking about double splashing, you're saying because like a lot of the really good rares in the set are double pipped, like Azula is double black and the sagas are all double colored, and so you need 2 sources. I am hoping to cobble those sources together from a number of different ways. Like I'm still a huge Barrels of Blasting Jelly fan myself. And so we'll talk about that on this list, obviously. And so I'm hoping to not have 2 off-color basics in my deck. I'm hoping to be able to be like, I've got 1 swamp, and then maybe I've got a blue-black duel that is going to help me cast my double black card. I've got a couple Barrels of Blasting Jelly that are going to help. So by the time I hit Rise of Sozin, I'll have accumulated 2 black sources. But I don't really want to do it with 2 swamps. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm such a fan of Cycle of Renewal, a la the Gift of Paradise stuff we used to do back in the day, which is a 2 green enchantment that tapped for double pipped of any color. The difference is Cycle of Renewal requires you to put Cycle of Renewal requires you to put 2 basics of that color in your list, which is tough.
Yeah, that's really tough, I think. Yeah, I'm a big Shared Roots fan. I like Shared Roots a lot more than Cycle. I do not like Unlucky Cabbage Merchant. This card is like remarkably bad, I think. Like we've talked about 2 mana 2/2 being a bad stat line. This is the one in a green 2/2. Makes a food. When you sack a food, you can also shuffle it back in and go to search up a basic. Grizzly Bears are bad. And it does, and the really bad thing, and I like Shared Roots, I like Raucous Audience, I like Hermetic Herbalist, I like getting to go from 2 to 4 to 5. Unlucky Cabbage Merchant, like, what is the curve? It's like they're on 2. Don't use all your mana on 3 to crack the food. It's not good.
It's like finding space to crack a lander token. It's just tough.
Yeah, and then sacrificing a creature.
Yeah.
Um, Hermetic Herbalist. Green, blue for the 2/3, taps for a mana of any color, and taps for 2 mana of any color if it's casting a lesson. I think, like, we were talking about this. I was like, I think this is a good reason to get into Soup if your draft starts low powered, but maybe it's not. Maybe I gotta get off the herbalist
I
sauce a
think
little
you
bit.
gotta. I think you gotta check yourself on that. If
Okay, I'll
you've
check.
already got a start to a Jeskai deck, but if you want to live a little, don't let me stop you from living.
Well, I think I might need to stop from living in that way a little bit. Aang's Journey. This is the 2 mana colorless saga or lesson that searches up land and gains 2 life. If it's kicked, you can find a shrine as well. I'm mixed on this card. Do you want to play it? Like, I feel like it's a sort of the more pieces of the buffalo sort of thing. Like, if you care about lessons, if your deck is powerful, if you're splashing a lot, but like much like
Mo-
the land cyclers, taking turn 2 off to do this is so bad.
yeah, I would say Aang's Journey is hoping to not play, even if you care about lessons, unless you're doing something like you were talking about, like you'd slot it in if you had triple abandoned attachments and you're trying to get lessons into the yard, maybe like
Yes, yeah.
that kind of a thing. If you just need a card that says lesson on it, but if your plan is to cast Aang's Journey, I think you should be hoping to not play it generally.
I got my opponent got yesterday. They went to cast Aang's Journey on turn 2. I
Mm-hmm.
cast it'll Quencha on
And they
Aang's
bricked on
Journey,
lands.
and then they passed. They went no third land for me.
Oh, that hurts my soul. I hate it'll quench us so much.
It's tough for them. Okay, number 8, Barrels of Blasting Jelly. I feel like I've been on a roller coaster. I was really high on this. I went down on it, but I'm back. I think this is my golden egg for the format.
Can I ask you questions at this card? Because
Ask me questions.
I still have not played it, which I think is probably wild. And
So anyway, I started blasting.
I I tried. I tried to put it in a deck.
You tried.
And
What stopped you?
because I just had a better deck without Barrels of Blasting Jelly and without splashing. So
Okay.
the thing that is tough for me to wrap my head around is, to me, like, I want to treat, and I think this is wrong, but I want to treat Barrels of Blasting Jelly like I was talking about Cycle of Renewal. Well, like, so you get 3 Barrels of Blasting Jelly, and you've got 3 sources for whatever you want to do. And
Mm-hmm.
3 Barrels of Blasting Jelly in your list that's a lot of blasting. Like, it's just tough. It's a tough
It
amount
is.
of blasting
It
to
is.
have in
I would
your
agree.
list. And
Yes.
so once that's not viable, which is where I was ending up with this deck, I was like, oh, this is it. I'm going to get to do the thing. I'm going to play my Barrels of Blasting Jelly, and I'm going to finally test this card out. And then I was like, wait a second. I can just play blue-black and not splash these other rares, and my deck's not going to be that much worse, and I won't have to put 3 Barrels of Blasting Jelly in my deck, because it's not a great card. And so then once you're only playing like one, it's not really doing that much for you fixing wise. And it's also a bad removal spell. Like, it's just hard for me to find the intersection of wanting it all. So what am I missing?
Is it a bad removal spell? That's the question. Because
Yes.
I don't think it is. Like, you're kicking Firebending Lesson a lot in this format. And I'm not saying Barrels of Blasting Jelly is as good as Firebending Lesson. But I am saying we are spending 5 mana to kill stuff in this format a lot. And I
I'm
think
not.
you're what are you talking about?
What
You're
am I?
you're kicking Firebending Lesson.
I've kicked a Firebending Lesson like twice all
That
format. I
is
think Firebending
all right.
Lesson gets like
If
snapped off.
if anyone is interested in hosting a limited podcast, what do you mean? You're just like, oh, I only cast this for 1 mana. I only shock things.
Frequently, yeah, because
Okay.
it's so good early in the game. I mean, having the
Sure.
flexibility of being good later is, but that's a break glass in case of emergency scenario. And I don't love
Okay.
Lost Days.
Okay.
4 is the most mana I'm spending to kill things in this format.
Okay. Well, a lot of us out here in the trenches are spending 5 mana to kill things with Lost Days or a kicked Firebending Lesson, and Barrels of Blasting Jelly lets you do that. It also is like I think obviously it gets way boosted the more waterbending you have. So like, it could just an additional permanent that you got to drop early in the game goes a long way for stuff like Katara or even your waterbending lessons, whatever. It's very good
So,
there.
question: have you
Hmm.
played Barrels of Blasting Jelly unneeded for the fixing in a deck that cared
Yes.
about waterbending?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
But I think it's probably then also like that's almost certainly going to be a blue deck, and that's probably then a deck where like I also want the removal, where it's like I need just a little bit more interaction. So it's again a thing where which I feel like is golden eggy about it, where I want to do I want it to do all the things, and if it can do all the things, I think it's going to be good. So and to
But
your
that's
point
not
about
it's not a golden egg in the sense of like you aren't spending a pick on it to delay the
yeah,
decision.
but are you doing is but there's no golden egg then if that's the
I agree. This format is not very eggy.
yeah. Okay. Uh Bender's Water Skin is number 9 on this list. This is the 3-mana rock. I don't think this card is Year of the Manolith for me.
No, this card is atrocious.
Yeah, I just don't like doing nothing on 3. It's rare that you get the double activations out of it, like whether you're water bending with it or using it. And also the auto tapper just can't wait to use it. It's just like, oh, you want to I'll use it first. You use it first because it'll untap. You use it first. It's like, please stop. Please stop doing that. The dual lands are the 10th way to fix. These are extremely helpful. I think especially because a lot of the bombs are double pipped. So like what I was talking about is if you have enough duels slash a couple barrels, you don't have to run the multiple basics, which I really like. The fact that they synergize with Black White Sacrifice. We haven't talked about this, but they're really good with earthbending. Like earthbending onto your dual lands and then block sacking to draw, and then they come back and you get to draw again is really good. I'm really high on the dual lands. I haven't really outside of Black White. And Black White's the only deck where I've been like, I'm not splashing, but I will run a white blue dual
That's what I was
land.
going to ask you. Do you ever run a
Yeah.
half off color one to have one?
Only in Black White have I done that. I haven't done it for the earthbending stuff. Rumble Arena is number 11. It's the colorless land. ETB Scry 1, and it filters and adds vigilance. In a soup deck, I'm pretty thrilled to play a copy of this. Like, I'm okay if my Azula costs 6 instead of
6 instead of
5.
5. Yeah.
Um,
Azula has such a wide range. You had talked about this early on, but it's like a gigantically wide range. It's like ranges from, oh, that was totally fine to,
yeah,
I cannot possibly ever win this game.
it's crazy. I had, I think I cast it.
It's
I
way
was like,
worse the later in the game it comes down.
for sure. I had a first time faced off against it, or faced it off against an Earthbent land. And I, in my head, again, had shortcutted like Azula's non-token
Right.
text to be like, well, it's going to get a thing. And then they just sacked their land and got it back. And I was like, oh, that did nothing.
Yep.
Yeah. Or if they just kill it outright, so you don't get it, whatever. It's not, it's a very cool card in that way that it feels like it is a busted bomb, but it's also simultaneously beatable.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good design. The last card on this list is White Lotus Hideout. This is again this is an uncommon filter land, but you don't have to filter if you're casting shrines or lessons. I am not excited to play this card. Even in my most robust lesson decks, I'm not playing this card.
Yeah. I have never put a White Lotus hideout on the battlefield.
So it's interesting that like there's a lot of ways to fix in the format, but they're not very good. Like we're
I
looking
would
at this
agree
list
with that generally. Yeah.
and like we're kind of split. So you like cycle, I like shared roots, and then I like barrels of blasting jelly, and I like the dual lands. But I don't want to play water skin or Aang's journey. Like there's a lot of necessary evil kind of fixing cards, but not a lot of fixing where you're like, yeah, and this is good. This is good to do.
Well, that's good because soup is already pretty good. Like if you get 4 or 5 bombs and you cast them,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good plan in the format.
Yeah, I had a deck again earlier this week on stream that I kept saying, I like kept telling chat, I was like, this deck is bad. This deck is bad. It got 7 wins, and they were like, so would you still think the deck is bad? And I was like, yes. Like it just had 4 bombs that we saw in a disproportionate amount of times.
Yeah.
But like that's not a good like a good deck is not cobbling together 19 other cards to support your 4 bombs. A
Mulligan to
little
pack rat, baby.
Oh my God, Mulligan to pack rat, yeah. For the real ones out there. I put together a couple short lists of underrated and overrated cards. For the underrated cards, I just used my heart and experience. For the overrated cards, I did use the Data a little bit to see what's getting picked higher than it might be than I might think it should be. The first card on this list is Otter Penguin. It has the word or the homophone win in the word. Otter Penguin.
Yeah, it's a great card. I've been championing this. This is my favorite card in the format. This is my pick for the golden egg, I think. Otter Penguin.
Ooh, you'll have to work up a sales pitch for me. But yes, this is the one of blue 2/1. When you draw your second card, it gets +1/+2 and can't be blocked until end of turn. This card is I just think it is pretty underrated, and I like that it is a game plan. And I had a deck this week with 4 Otter Penguins and my 1 in 50. I got the Tiger Seal.
Got the Tiger Seal. Let's go.
It wasn't great. The deck was short lived. It only went 3/3. But like, just you flood the board with Otter Penguins, and then your opponent is dead in 2 turns.
Yeah. It's a very good card. It's a very good card. A card that lets you win games that could not possibly be won otherwise at common is a good card.
Well, and it wouldn't be good if it wasn't so well supported, but there's so many ways to trigger it because of clues in the format.
And there's ways at common to trigger it on your opponent's turn, to ambush stuff. There's your opponent can't really block it when you have mana up and a clue up, and then you don't have to crack the clue, so it's kind of unblockable for 2 sometimes because they don't want you to eat their 2-drop. It's a very good card.
Yeah. North Pole Patrol. This is the card from our draft log, the Tuna Blue 2/3. We are, I think, predisposed to like the blue untappers. You know, we were big champions of Neoform Sentinel.
I don't know why I like them. I like them, and I misplayed with this card like 7 times in a row yesterday on stream. Argon was in my chat like, you can untap this, you can untap that, you can untap this again.
Oh,
so bad on my part. But I do like the card. To be fair, I was doing many different things at once in addition to streaming, but I was playing embarrassingly bad with North Pole Patrol.
Good times on Ben's stream. I just think this ramps, it double fixes. It's a removal spell late in the game. The second line of text, the being able to tap stuff down is huge. Repeatable waterbending is great. Like if you have stuff that wants to be tapped, like Gran loves this card. Compassionate Healer loves this card. You can untap stuff out from Watery Grasp. Like this card's just really, really good. Yeah. And I think these effects are always good, right? Like
yes. Yeah.
Fire Nation Engineer, Tuna Black 2/3. Raid at the beginning of your end step. If you attacked, you put a +1/+1 counter on another creature. This card on turn 3, I don't play this enough. I've faced it a lot. It has consistently been a massive problem for me to face. I do not like
it. It's like the 2-drop in Vintage Cube. What's the Luminar Aspirant?
That's a take. That's a take. But yeah, I mean, it does feel that way. Especially because I feel like there's a lot of times where let's say they attack their Corrupt Court Official into your 2/2 on turn 2 or on turn 3.
You're never blocking.
And I'm like, well, maybe you're also playing this bad card Azula Always Lies, and I don't want to get got by that, so I'll just take 1. And then they play that, and you're like, god dang it, now I have to face this 2/2 Corrupt Court Official that I don't want to trade with. Like, it's a tough card.
I've liked Fire Nation Engineer as well.
Yeah. But I don't know when to take it, because I don't think black aggro is good.
I agree.
Maybe it is, but Fire Nation Engineer is so good.
Yeah.
So am I supposed to take Fire Nation Engineer, and what's the best color it pairs with? Probably white, because I think that's probably black's best deck, but I don't know. So I don't know when to take it, so it doesn't end up in my decks a lot, but I face it a lot, and I don't like it. Origin of Metal Bending. 1 in a green lesson, instant. Choose 1, put a +1/+1 counter, give something indestructible until end of turn, or blow up an artifact or enchantment. This doing an impression of Octopus Form. Yes, it's twice the mana, but also giving you a main deck way to blow up artifacts and enchantments has been something I've been pretty happy with. And I am
Well,
like,
and it's a lesson which the green decks frequently care
yes,
about as well. Yeah, Origin of Metal Bending is good.
this I think has gone from like sideboard material, hope to not play it, to I'm hoping to run one of these in my green decks.
Yeah, I like Origin of Metal Bending.
And last card on this list, it's interesting that we're going back to back lessons here. How to start a riot. This is 2 and a red for a lesson. Give a creature menace, and all creatures target player controls get +2/+0 until end of turn. Talk about mising games. Like you're like, I love ways to steal games. This is a way to steal games. A lot of ways to steal games in this card. I think it's such a blowout for go wide red white decks and for blue red flyers. It's a lesson. Red has ways to rummage, loot it away when it's useful. I think I'm sort of similar to Origin of Metal Bending with How to Start a Riot. I'm kind of think all my red decks want one copy of this card.
It's weird. Like week 2 of the format, I started so many riots. And then I haven't much since, but I do have a lot of respect for the card.
Yeah. Okay, 5 cards you're overrating. Number 1 is Epic Downfall. 1 on a black sorcery. Exile a creature with MV 3 or greater. I think this is just black's worst removal spell.
What?
Like it's worse than Heartless Act.
Yes.
I think it's worse than Deadly Precision.
Mm,
And it might be worse than Sold Out, probably
no
not.
way.
But like it's a 2-mana removal spell that you can't fire off on turn 2. It's sorcery speed. Exile doesn't matter that much in this format because like there's True Ancestry and Zuko's whatever. Like there's not the double Gravedigg stuff. I don't think Epic, like I'm not saying it's bad, but like it's being taken quite highly in the data, and I think it is worse than most of Black's removal spells.
Do you think it's worse than Heartless Act and maybe Deadly Precision and then probably slots in?
Yeah.
Although Swamp Snare Trap's goated, you could say Swamp Snare Trap's better.
This is a bit from Lords
for those of you who
Unlimited.
didn't listen to Lords Unlimited last week, it's a deep cut.
Deep cut from Lords Unlimited. Ben's favorite card in the format is Swamp Snare Trap. He only likes it as his 12th removal spell in his deck, though. He needs to have 11 other pieces of removal before he plays it. Airbender's Reversal, 1 and a white instant. Choose one, either Airbender creature you control or destroy target attacking creature. I was really high on this card, and I have steadily come down on it. I think it is just fine.
Worse than Path to Redemption, right?
Yes, for sure. I think it's just worse, again, like worse than Path, worse than Airbendering Lesson. It's just most white decks are assertive, and both modes of this card are defensive.
Worse than Airbending Lesson. I don't know if I'm there, but maybe I should be.
You want to be able to airbend your opponent's stuff, not your stuff.
Sure.
So you'll pay 1 more mana and draw a card to do it, I think.
Yeah.
Jet Freedom Fighter is next on this list. 2 triple Boros, 3/1 ETB. Deal damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature, and when it dies, you put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. I think this card is 2 mana intensive to be taken as early as it is currently. I'm not excited to take this first. I'm not excited to take this after a white card. Like, also, white's 5-drop slot is clogged. You would rather have Gather the White Lotus if you're heavy white. Master Piandao is fine. Like the 3/4 that dumps 2 counters is like, it's just not that high above replacement level, I think.
I agree, and it's got to be exactly Boros, and it's got to be
Boros
that isn't heavy. Yeah, but even mono white, you'd rather have Gather the White Lotus than Jet in your 5-drop slot, and you can only play so many 5s. Yeah, I'm way down on Jet.
I'm also down on Suki, Kyoshi Warrior, the 2 Selesnya, star 4, power equal to the number of creatures you control. When it attacks, you make a 1/1 attacker. This is a lot of text for a 4-drop with no ETB that needs other things on board to be a threat. Like, I think Kyoshi Warriors, the 3/3 plus a 1/1 for 4, is just better than this.
That wouldn't shock me. I'm just down on anything that costs 4. You're overrating 4-drops in this format, in my opinion.
That's fair. Someone in our Discord was asking, like, given whatever, no other information, but you have like some number of, you can put any number of either Kyoshi Warriors or Wandering Musicians in your 4-drop slot. Like, what's the mix?
Ooh, I tend to like Wandering Musicians more than I like Kyoshi Warriors.
Interesting. I like Kyoshi. I feel like I like Kyoshi Warriors more. But I guess I definitely always want a go wide payoff in my deck. But I would rather I like Water Tribe. Is it Captain, Water Tribe, whatever, the 3/3 that pumps your team for 5.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
like that a lot.
Wandering
Okay.
Musicians just had such a big booty. Like its booty
Yeah.
is gigantic.
Yeah, it's true. Not but like it's weird because like it's not like there's a deal 4. But it's more that like not a lot of stuff has 5 power. So you're not like, oh, I can just attack into you. No. Oh, I could just single block you. No. Like, what are you gonna
Yeah,
do?
it's
Yeah.
awkward. It's a guy I like Wandering Musicians quite a bit.
You know what? Just is a clean answer for Wandering Musician. Kicked firebending lesson, aka barrels of blasting jelly.
Sure.
Last on this list is a tie for Zuko, Exiled Prince, or Azula on the Hunt. These are the pair of 4-mana 4/3s with firebending 3 and 2 respectively, and card advantage engines respectively. Either make a clue or exile the top card of your library and play it this turn. Again, more 4-drops with no ATBs that have to attack to get value. And again, I'm not saying that I'm not playing these, but these are not high picks.
I would generally agree with that. Certainly more about Zuko than Azula. I've got a soft spot for an Azula on the Hunt, but I agree. Both of them costing 4 is a huge knock against them. You can't pick them highly.
You can't. No. Yeah. That's where I'm at these days with this format. I really like it. And as we're going to be recording in 2 weeks, we'll be doing our year-end best worst. I know it's a clear Final Fantasy for you as best set of the year.
Final Fantasy, yes.
It is not for me, and I am not. I don't know if it's going to be recency bias, but this might be my best set of 2025.
Is this the year of DFT too?
Yeah,
Was Ether Drift January?
Ether Drift was the first set of the year. Yeah.
So we have what? Ether Drift,
Tarkir, Final Fantasy, Edge of Eternities.
This has been a really good year for Limited.
The set that shall not be named. And
what was that? Oh, yeah, that doesn't even count.
It doesn't count. So there are only 5 sets this year, and then this. It's a really good year for Limited.
Yeah.
If you remove Spider-Man was such a pox on the Magic world, it felt like. But the other 5 sets, and I'm sure most people would say, I feel like weirdly, Ether Drift seemed to be a disliked format. I really liked it.
Edge of Eternities. People didn't understand how to start your engines.
Edge of Eternities was great. And those might be is Edge I think for me, Tarkir Dragonstorm is the worst set of the year, but I really liked it.
R.I.P. Ben White's just taking strays randomly.
But I don't mean that. But I'm saying it was my least favorite set of the year, and I'd still give it an 8 out of 10.
Right? Yeah.
Good year for Limited.
Good year for Limited.
Yeah. And you shocked me to let me know that next week is 50 takes.
Next week's 50 takes for Avatar, and then best worst, and then in January we're starting off with previews for Lorwyn Eclipsed.
Love to see it. It's an exciting time. I've really enjoyed my time with this set.
Yeah, it's been very fun. I think the mechanics are what made it sing, as is often the case for most good sets.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, great place to wrap us up. Thank you, as always, to Salty Pretzels for our intro and outro music. Make sure you give it a listen.
You can find all of our content on lordsoflimited.com. We've got links to our tier list, our episode backlogs, our YouTube channel, our Twitch streams, respectively, and our Patreon page, all at lordsoflimited.com.
If you've got any feedback about the show or any questions, shoot us an email at lordsoflimited@gmail.com.
Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week for another episode of Lords of Limited.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.